I honor you if you're watching this video here on Blooming Truth. Now, whenever you happen to see this video, and I know there's a trend, you all don't see any titles, any hashtags, you don't see any pictures. And for season for YouTube, that's how it's going to be. So chances are, if you're watching this video, it's one of two reasons. It's something that you are sincerely being drawn to that is for you, or you're somebody that's stalking and illegally surveillancing me. Either way, just kidding, not kidding. So I'm going to talk about the adjustments for you beautiful beings out there that you know and I know, okay, and many that are experiencing similar things. You know that there's something. You don't have all the facts. You may not know all details, but you have enough. You have enough data. You have enough, okay, to know that something is strange, eerie going on regarding your life and what seems to take place that seems unnatural, unprecedented behind the scene. But you know what I want to talk about? This may be different than what we're used to hearing because we've got all kinds of content. That's the name of the game in social media. Targeted individuals, star seeds, earth angels, Christians, chosen. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And you hear about, in some cases, we're hearing truth. My story, other people's story, but I want to talk about an adjustment. I didn't title the video because I don't want it to be titled, but this is really about the adjustments that it serves us to make because of the nature of this world and whatever you want to call this world, this reality that we live in. At this point, you or somebody that you care for has figured out that every move you make, every step you take, every decision is something that's being somehow used against you. We want to be our authentic self because we realize we lived in a world of illusion. We found out that nothing was ever quite as it seemed. We found out some painful, heart betraying truths. We experienced things that only we and those that are close enough and those that are privy to know, and that the rest of the world will never know. And so we stand, a part of our whole process of remembering and standing. As you stand in this truth, you talk about this truth, you speak this truth, you say it in some cases in the name of hoping to honor and protect yourself just in case something happens to you and your children. You say it, you know, and I love it, it's valid, and I'm going to always honor that part of the process. We get to the phases that we get to when we get there. Here's the adjustment. The world at large is never going to believe the truth. And I know some of you don't want to hear that. But once you get to the space of accepting, first and foremost, what has really happened in your life and accepting what the world is based on what you've come to know, it'll become easier to accept that the world is never ready. There's too many that benefit from the world being what it's always been. So what am I saying with that? Your truth is going to be used against you because the world is conspiring against it. Your stories, your experiences are all going to be twisted. All of it. In some cases, they're going to say it's delusional imagination and other spaces where that can't be done, then they're going to Darbo it. And basically the Darbo is you reverse the roles. The perpetrator reverse the activity. So if they were a bully to you, they'll say that you bullied them. So they're telling the truth about events, but they're swapping the roles of who's who. And if enough people co-sign, and if the act, i.e. the spell, if it's good enough, then the world believes it. If the individuals have a character and a persona that the world experience with them that's opposite to what has happened in your case, the world believes them. So why am I sharing this with you, beautiful souls, by the time you see this? Because I know that squelching, lying, denying, pretending is possibly why many cultures and families and bloodlines are disturbed. And so you're trying to clear that frequency, that signature, that generational curse. It's heartbreaking, but you'll have to find a way. It'll end up serving you to find a way to somehow honor, whether that is within yourself, with your own healing practice, if you are honored enough to find, because nowadays I question, how do you find a real soul tribe nowadays that ain't on some BS themselves? Marketing, you know what I'm saying? You're a soul tribe as long as you are, let me stop. And then say, I'm not going to say nothing. I mean, because I'm saying something to you. But it's really the adjustment on what and how. Because the more we tell our story, the more people are going to lie about it. And then the more your life is being tampered with behind the scene, that there's denial about that, you will still be made out to look some kind of way because the world don't believe any of it anyway. The adjustment that's going to serve to make, we're going to cease, at least for all intensive purposes, on the surface. We're going to lean, as I spoke of yesterday, into the hornet's nest. Present and observing when you appear to be asleep. Because often a lot of things are happening in that time, the night, when no one's around. And all you're going to do is make your adjustment and continue to shit over every accusation by being the opposite of what they're accusing. Not out of people pleasing, not out of fear, not out of ass kissing, not over, for some of you, it's not even your trauma response, because, we have trauma response, the fawning. This is a conscious sovereign decision to be actually true of who you actually are. The very thing that any individuals that are not conscious of their behavior, or people who actually have a vested interest in fucking with you, the very thing that they are trying to convince the world the picking of fights, that's a standard abuse dynamic, toxic dynamic. Any of us that have been in any kind of toxic relationship long enough, we know one of the hallmarkers is figuring out ways to get under your skin and figuring out ways to pick a fight so they can say and twist some shit up. So going into neutral, going into allowance while you're still making all the things and changes that you need to make. This is not about denial and bypassing and putting up with. You take this as a case by case basis. I'm simply saying that the world is never going to believe you because it's not meant to. Your story, if this is your life, if it's truth for you, it's going to always be made out to be the very opposite of what it is. There are people who can't accept the truth. It's a shock to their system. There are people that are just so hardwired into the program. It's their architecture. There's some people who they benefit. There's some people, the list goes on, and it's neither here nor there whether people are conscious involved with BS or have absolutely no conscious awareness. It doesn't matter. It hurts. It's heartbreaking. I get it. I've lived it. I live it. People are going to be bothered by you, and since they have no self awareness and self evaluation, they're disconnected. They don't have, and I'm not saying this in a pretentious, pious, douchey way, and I'm not saying this implying that beings don't have their own brilliance and intelligence. But this is what gets certain beings activated for no reason. You asserting yourself bothers them. You having your own opinion bothers them. You being confident in your skin when they feel like you shouldn't be because you don't have as much as them bothers them. It's because, we have our opinions, humans. I don't see why they walk on. They ain't got nothing. Well, not everybody's confidence is connected to material world. And maybe that's the wisest position to ever be. Because one day you got it, and maybe the next you don't. God forbid, tragedy happens. So what are we going to do? Pivot. Hold compassion for ourselves and our children, and compassion for humanity, not the self-deprivating, self-sacrificing martyrism, but a knowing, a deep knowing. And not to sound religious, because y'all know I ain't religified, but when Jesus said, forgive them, they don't know what they do. That reference, whether y'all out there believe that are actual events or not, but the symbolism of that deeper truth, not in a pretentious, pompous, pious, nose high up-y way. Oh, forgive these little peasants for they know. No, it's a more of a sovereign recognition, maybe a little sadness and sorrow involved, understanding what ignorance drive people to do. Ignorance, desperation, primitive survival, fear ego based energy. But it drives people when they can't see that that's what's driving them to put that man on an innocent man on a cross and take delight in it. Ignorance is what that was. And he knew. For those of you who like to reference such statements as they're ignorant, they believe something that is not truth. And this is why they're able to kill me with a straight face. This is why they're able to throw spell work at disabled people. This is why. The adjustment is also because many of you are parents. And a part of the whole thing is to make you out to look like an unfit one. And an example of the adjustments you can make, for example, son has hypertension. Part of it is his salt intake. Other part of it is heredity. But the adjustments that I've had to make, my parenting style. See, a lot of folks, they want you exasperated and exhausted. Maybe that's the way they live their lives. Maybe that's the way they do. But you can make the adjustments that's suitable for you. What's more important, that you can slow down the salt intake, or that you argue and convince them to not take the salt? Which is the greater answer? And the greater answer is this: if you have to trick them, you trick them, because at the end of the day, the goal is that you reduce that salt intake, even if they think it ain't reduced. You all already know that a part of the things that have been happening to you is to make you so utterly attacking your children or exploiting the fact that you may have somebody that is codependent and disabled in your care, while simultaneously attempting to scrutinize your every move while failing to look at their own. But to give an appearance like they're not caring for, they're not. So what do you do with these things? You adjust. Because that's my style too. Because you are the one that's the manager of your energy. You know the toll that it takes. People can be around you and your children for 5 minutes, and with all of their social circle in the village that they have, it's real easy then. But when they're not living your life in your shoes full time, all things being equal, they don't have jurisdiction. You have to manage your energy. I want you to remember this. Do you want to argue with whether it is your disabled child, somebody you have to take, whatever? Do you want to spend 30 minutes and an hour arguing, convincing what may not ever stick? Because some of them, they don't have the capacity to understand, not really the importance of what you're saying. So, and sometimes you may have to exhibit that before people that are illegally surveilling you to so-called report on you, while failing to report on themselves. I know. I know. But these are the things. You say something where it's like, oh, it's clear. And that's your sovereign right as a parent. We're not here to parent as someone else, especially if maybe as someone else has parent may not, well, you know. And if people are really concerned for you, something that I'm learning is, well, just allow. We're not fighting. See, listen, it's a different approach. Let the proof be in the pudding. Because I've said this about even the programs and all the grants and all these fundings and all this stuff. So let the proof be in the. because I have had too many experiences where I've seen people make adjustments even though it was against programs. This is why I know, y'all, that it can be done. Too many instances over time where I've seen it, whether it was by my own experience or I witnessed somebody else somehow. Because it's all about, depends on who you're talking to. And if they want to go the extra mile, or if they want to default to their standard, safe, legalese default statement just simply to cover their ass so that they don't have to help you or support or provide any kind of service. And I'm talking about programs now, not individuals. I'm talking about programs that are funded to help people. At the end of the day, it's still our lives. And at the end of the day, you guys, I know it's wrong when you know that you're being tampered with and you're trying to be responsible with your life, but the adjustments. Lean. Lean into it. Be aware. Rephrase statements. Some of you may want to record things. People who have gone through narcissistic abuse have a desire to have like their lives recorded because there's been too many people that lie and come against them and create stories and stuff like that. You may feel the need, like, do I need to record my life, my behind the scene life, since people seem to think that I'm something I'm not, since people seem to think that I'm doing stuff to people that I am not. Because some folks are trying to convince the world that you are them. So when you can, preserve your energy. But this is how we're going to shit on the accusations. They want a reason. This is why they're always trying to provoke you in every way they turn. This is why they want you talking about all the things that's happening, because they know the world is already convinced, already under the spell, and already convinced that you're just some delusional, overworked, undersexed, overstressed, menopausal, midlife crisis, whatever you want to be, individual, mentally ill. That's the favorite label to use. The abusers of the world. That is their go-to. As they terrorize people's lives. Let me tell you. As they work their works in the background, go around the town telling people to say all the programs are closed and they gave somebody a job. Yeah, it's okay. So we're going to adjust. I'm going to adjust. And are we going to do this perfectly? No. But at least I'm telling y'all this. And all the people out here, social media world and otherwise, implying something different, lying. On top of their line, most of them have more than a village. They got about 5 villages to raise one child. It's easy to have opinions when that's your situation. Real easy to be highfalutin and judgy. And not to mention, we're all different. But that too is ignorance. Coming in the same household don't mean nothing. Because guess what? Not everybody in the same household got actually treated the same. Not everybody in the same household is dealing with the same, makeup, genetic makeup and dynamics. The real implications behind things. But the world believes on some very surface basic shit. You come from the same neighborhood, you come from the same parents, same household, you all should be the same. That's ignorance. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes we don't know. There's a whole lot we don't know. Anywho, it's okay. But adjustments. And maybe keep record, your own records for yourself. But then, as best you can, as they're trying to provoke you every day, in every way, and they being whoever they are, okay, out in this world, universe, whatever the case may be. We're not talking about you being fake. We're talking about you actually being what you always was. Even though you are aware of what people are doing or what your circumstance is, what's happening on a grander scale. Okay, I gotta go. Happy Saturday if you're watching on the original air date or whenever you see this. Again, all decent beings, I salute you. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But even those who look like they are aren't. But if you are a truly decent person, a self-aware person, and you care, truly, sincerely care about your life, your family, and life of humanity on a grander scale, and aim to truly be a good person outside of performance and outside of the opinions that you're trying to get from others, I honor you because that's not common anymore. People's fears, everything has pushed front and center to drive humanity, basically kill or be killed. Survival of the fittest. They'd rather it be you and yours, sacrifice than them and theirs. But they'll never say that to you because that doesn't look kosher. It's okay. I'll end with that statement, whether you're religious or not, spiritual or not. You can take it as symbolism, words of wisdom. I'm not going to tell you to forgive in a sense of denying, because your body, your subconscious, your nervous system knows. But I am going to say it's an acknowledgement. They're ignorant. And I'm not saying that derogatory. Sleep. Because any being, any group, any family, any organization who chooses to actively and willingly participate in causing disruption, there's something not clicking, especially towards innocent lives, your children, disabled people, and you, especially you, based on whatever their ignorance is. So it's a true statement. When Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. Like, literally, they don't. Because as far as they're concerned, they're in the right. As far as they're concerned, some of them even think they're on some kind of a deep soul spiritual mission, doing harm to you and your family, or causing mayhem or issues, whatever the case may be. I wish I was in a position, whoever you are out there, to be active physical participant to support you. But may you find your way. You are worthy and deserving, you and your family, no matter what people think about you. Namaste.